Okay, I thought I would make another video and just chat about my feelings and some other stuff that I haven't talked about yet. So this weekend was just like really hard for me. I was struggling a lot, cried a river of tears. I feel like I haven't cried like tons and tons and tons and tons. I did cry a lot like that the last week that David and I were like living together, but we weren't like, that was when we were separating or whatever. But so like he was sleeping in the living room, I was sleeping in the bedroom. That week I did cry a river of tears, but Saturday I let loose. Cried and cried and cried Saturday night. Because even though I am on an antidepressant, like it doesn't, like it helps me, but it doesn't fully take away like all the feeling about it, if that makes sense. So this weekend was just hard because I can't remember if I mentioned it in my last video, maybe I didn't, but I got rid of my ring, so that is off and gone. I didn't get a lot for it at all, which doesn't surprise me, but it is what it is. And then, when I found those cards, and I was actually reading through some of my journals, like literally like right after we had gotten married back in 2014, and we actually hadn't even been married a month, and David literally was acting like a narcissist, and like I didn't know the word narcissist or what it meant back in 2014. It wasn't even part of my vocabulary then. But I put in my journals just like that single life seemed to have been easier for me, and that I only had to worry about me. I didn't have this other person trying to like make me miserable part of the time. But yeah, back in May of 2014, because there was like this girl at BYU Idaho where, you know, me and David had met and we were continuing school right after we got married. She was like constantly contacting him, like she was blowing up his phone, and I was like, dude, like you're married to me and yet you have this other girl contacting you. And I was not okay with it, and he shouldn't have been okay with it, but he was like, well, he's like, I relate more to females because he was raised by a mother, he didn't have a father. His sister is, I think, a year and a half, 2 years younger than him or something like that. So he's like, I just relate more to females than I do males. Okay, that should have been a huge red flag to me, which it was, but I dismissed it. And so then there was another time that there was a coworker, and again, in Rexburg, actually we were in Idaho Falls. So this one was 2015. So one of his coworkers, when he worked at the Walmart in Idaho Falls, she wanted to be, or she needed help, or I looked at as she wanted to be rescued one night. He literally drove all the way from IF to Blackfoot. I mean, which isn't, I guess, too far, like, I think a half hour. But, like, he didn't tell me anything. He didn't tell me where he was going. He didn't tell me, like, who he was going to be with. And again, like, I'm not okay with that. He shouldn't have been okay with that. He should have consulted me and been like, hey, this person called, she needs help, you know, what do you think, do you want to come with me? Like, he shouldn't have been alone with her. And so I put in my journals back in May of 2014, after we got back to BYU Idaho in Rexburg, that he was like playing the victim. He was never wrong. I was the wrong one all the time. Even, I mean, this was like, we hadn't even been married a month. Not even a month. And so his narcissistic tendencies literally started right after we got married. And I was talking to my sister Kaylin tonight because I'm living with her and her husband, which I'm so thankful that I have a place to lay my head every night and a roof over my head. But she asked me, she's like, did you notice any of these things, before you got married? And I was like, no, there was literally no red flags before we got married. Like, none. Like, he was the most sweet, kind, loving, affectionate, like, only wanted me kind of thing. But yeah, like, there were literally no red flags before we got married. And after we got married, like, it was like the switch flip, like, looking back on it now and reading in my journals what I had put, that he was always the victim. He was never wrong. I was the one causing the problems. Like, he's literally played the narcissist our whole entire marriage. And like I said, like, the word narcissist or narcissistic, whatever you want to call it, like, wasn't in my vocabulary. I had no idea what it meant. But looking back on it now, like, literally our whole marriage, like, he played this game with me. And like, I don't know, I just can't believe it. Like, I should have, but there was no red flags there, like, when we were dating and when we were engaged. And so frustrating to see that and to, like, recognize that now. And I know, like, it's not my fault. It is not my fault. It's not my fault for anything that he's done, to destroy the marriage. It is not my fault that everything is heading to the divorce, and he wants it 100%. Like, whenever I try to talk to him about anything financial today, like, we still have finances together of, certain things, and I'm not going to go into details about that, of course. But we have these finances that we still have to work out. And every time I try talking to him, like, he literally blocks me all the time. Like, he blocks me and then he unblocks me, and then he blocks me and then he unblocks me. It is like the biggest mind game that he's playing with me right now. And it is so, like, it's so annoying. It's so frustrating. It's a narcissist again to a T. But yeah, like, he's been like this, like, our whole marriage. And, looking back on it now, and I don't remember writing all these things down, but I'm glad I wrote them down, because I have proof and I have evidence of what he even did at the beginning of our marriage. Like, I feel like I've had to fight for my territory within my marriage. I kind of, like, throughout the years, I've kind of been I have to be like this dog who pees all over her territory, because even in Logan, there was this girl that he met when he was donating plasma, and they got close, and he swears that he didn't cheat with her, but he did. He literally had an emotional affair with her, because I found it on his Facebook Messenger when he went to jail, and I looked at, like, all of his electronics. Yeah, they had an emotional affair. And again, like, he was trying to rescue her from an abusive husband, but David was also getting in between them and their marriage, and she was kind of, like, doing vice versa with ours. So he's not innocent at all in this. Like, he has caused it over and over and over throughout the years. And I have fought and fought and fought and fought. And he just, like I said, he thinks what he's doing, like, it's not wrong. Because he's not physically going out and having sex with all these people, but it doesn't matter. Like, cheating is cheating. And I keep finding all these different quotes and reels and stuff on Instagram where it says, and I think I shared it, that, cheating doesn't have to be physical. Like, you hide something from your spouse behind their back, you're cheating. You put your phone on do not disturb, so like that way they can't see anything incoming. You're cheating. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be physical. Like, it can be emotional, virtual, anything online. Like, that's cheating. Like, I don't care who you are, man, woman. You're like, if you're doing that to your spouse, you're a freaking cheater. And you don't deserve them, because they're trying so hard to make the marriage work while you're out there making a fool of yourself, but you're also hurting your spouse because you're hiding behind their backs, and you're choosing to be, I mean, I don't want to say this, but you're literally choosing to be a douchebag and a jackass and treating them like garbage. And so, like I said, I don't care who you are, male, female, whatever. Like, if you're doing this to a spouse, like, you're a cheater and literally deserve to rot in hell. I just, I have very strong feelings about this today. Like, I'm doing a lot better today. I'm doing much better today. Like, I make good days, bad days. Like, today is actually a pretty good day. And I realized on Saturday, I've had my puppy for a year. So Sadie, I've had her, we got her in Burley, Idaho on June 29th last year. So I've had my baby for a year, and I'm so thankful I have her, because she makes me feel, I mean, she helps me feel better, happier. She gives me lots of kisses in the morning. She's just the sweetest little thing. So she's helped me a lot through this crap that is happening in life. And, you know, and I feel bad for her too, because she had to adjust to life in a different place. And she's adjusted now. Like, she's doing really good, but it was hard on her too. Like, you know, she had to go from living in one place to seeing both of us, and to only having me, and not two of us. But at the same time, she was also neglected by David as well, because his trashy video games that he would play on his Xbox that were just nasty, yuck games. Like, people who make up these games, they should go to jail, honestly. Like, I'm not a fan of video games, especially games that, like, have a lot of violence, they have drugs in it, like, all of that nasty stuff. Like, people who create these games, I'm sorry, I know it, you know, it's their job or whatever, but, like, your mind does not need to be that twisted and warped, and you should go to jail. Like, if you're gonna put that in a game where you're, like, trafficking drugs and you're killing people, go to jail. Like, you're making the world a worse place. And because it sucks people into it, and it sucked David very quickly, very easily. And so that was, you know, his Xbox helped to contribute to everything. I hate Xbox. I'm so against stuff like right now, because it destroyed my marriage. So if I offended anyone with this, too bad. Like, this is what I went through. This is my experience. These are my feelings. This is how I feel. You want to create crap like that, go to jail. Like, there should be warrants out for people's arrest, because it destroys and it makes people violent. And I think, honestly, it did help contribute to, like, David's anger and his outbursts, and, like, his not caring of how he acted. Like, I really truly believe that the stupid Xbox helped to contribute to stuff too. So, and people who make porn, I know it's a freedom of speech, and I know, like, it's not gonna end, but seriously, you should be in prison. 100%. You should be in prison to make to make crap like that. You should be in prison. Because, again, you are contributing to violence within a marriage. It happened to me. Like in the last video when I said David physically assaulted me, he sexually assaulted me. Literally sexually assaulted me, raped me basically, because he did to me what he saw on porn and hurt my body badly. And I know that I have physical scars inside of me. I don't know if that's too much TMI, but it's true. 100% it's true. And he would question me and he would just say, well, what's wrong with your body? No, it wasn't my body. It was him sexually assaulting me. And so people who make porn, you should be in prison. Like, you literally should be in prison for life. You should have to go on a sex offender registry. You should have to do it all, because what spouses see and what they do to their spouse is rape. And that's what I went through as well the last few months that David and I were together. Like, I'd never experienced that until, like, he was literally into full on watching the porn and stuff like that. Like, so people who make porn should be in prison for life. Like, they should be locked up in segregation 23 hours a day. Like, they should have to experience a little bit of what I experienced. It's not fair that I went through hell. And people who make this shit should have to be in prison. Because what they put out there, spouses do to one another. Or one spouse does it to the other spouse. And so, excuse me swearing, but you make that stuff, you should be in prison. You should have to be castrated. You should have to go through the hell that I experienced. So, I don't want to protect David. Like, I just want to be honest and real about what happened to me. And I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I honestly can't say that I would tell him that I loved him, because after coming to the realization of what he had actually done to me, like, I'm so angry, I'm hurt. But yeah, I'm getting through it day by day, of course, and I will go to therapy. And those who suggest through the church, I'm not gonna go to a church therapist. I've been there, I've done that, and I know I will not do that. You know, I loved my therapist that I saw through Zoom, but I need somebody like physically in the flesh kind of thing. But please don't suggest going through the church, because I'm not okay with that. Like, I feel like churches swept crap under the rug, and I just don't agree with their therapists. So don't suggest that I go to a church-based therapist. I will eventually find one of my liking and one that will fit and work for me. So anyways, but thanks for listening to me, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll probably come on again eventually one day, hopefully sooner than later, because it does help putting my feelings out there and talking about this. So anyways, have a good night, everyone.